The realm of the supernatural, filled with witches, ghosts, poltergeists, seances. A fascinating world indeed, but one far removed from the reality of scientific research. If you were to let your mind wander, the fantasy might look something like this. Parapsychologists are investigating poltergeists. Rarely have they seen them in action. These photographs reportedly show the after effects of poltergeist activity, ordinary objects in disarray.
Never the poltergeist do what you did see in a movie, toss people around. But in real life, the things are more down to earth. Objects, noises, sometimes seeing an apparition.
Is there some relationship between poltergeists and psychokinesis?
If you define the psychokinesis as mind over matter, which suddenly grips something and can move, it could well be.
Does the mind have the power to move inanimate objects? Researchers are using a variation of popular video games to find out.
The slides are of a game called Horizon, which is being used by Dr. Robert Morris up at Syracuse University. It's a game, looks like a race car track, and basically it projects dots coming down the screen. The computer selects whether the dot will move a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left. The subject is told, in all cases, to try and make the dots move to one side or the other. In the second slide, you can see that the line actually diverged. It was all the way to one side, indicating that there was some definite influence on the machine.
What about seances, where mediums claim to communicate with the dead? Every year on Halloween, a seance is conducted in New York, trying to reach the spirit of the famous magician Houdini.
Oh, Houdini, give us a sign, please, that you're here. Please, Houdini, one sign, one time.
Could there really be something to this? The Psychical Research Foundation, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, is investigating the power of mediums.
She's very concerned about getting a message to different people. Now, this is, I feel, in the living, not in the spirit world.
Thus far, the results are inconclusive. Does the mind have the power to read the future, to predict? Tarot card readers claim to have that power. In scientific research, cards have been used to test extrasensory perception.
The problem with cards were that they were left open to sleight of hand in some cases, certainly accusations of sleight of hand. Using computers for the entire test automates the test, so there are less problems with possible manipulations of the test.
Every day, thousands of books are sold on ESP, the occult, witchcraft, on magic, linking the fantastic with the scientific, much to the chagrin of researchers. What are some of the common misconceptions people have about parapsychology?
Well, one of the major misconceptions is to place parapsychology within the realm of the supernatural. It is a science, follows a scientific method definitely, and unfortunately, in many cases, it is connected with things such as Bigfoot, tarot card readers, witchcraft, astrology. Now, even though some of these things, such as witchcraft, may one time in the future be studied by parapsychologists, for example, there are anthropologists in the field who are studying different shaman, witch doctors, different of their traditions. It's not really being studied right now. Parapsychologists don't go out and cast spells on people, nor do we take every psychic who walks out in the street claiming that they're a psychic into the laboratory trying to prove that they're psychic. There are many different types of claims that people have about psychic phenomena, and unfortunately it's very easy for a lot of these people, if they're charismatic, to capture the interest of the public through the media. This is the basic problem that we have, the fact that the occult, the word occult technically means hidden knowledge, and while what we're studying may be hidden knowledge, it's come to be known as something a little bit more supernatural. Vampires, werewolves, most of the reports you see are shown around Halloween, and there's a definite divergence between what is actually done in parapsychology and what is interpreted by the public. Everyone still thinks that there is a research lab at Duke University. Well, it's nearby, but it's not on Duke University. Most people know the name of Dr. Ryan. He's the father of parapsychology, but if you mention any of the work that's going on now to anyone, they draw a blank. Another misconception is that all psychics who go into the laboratory may be frauds and the fact that magicians can go in and detect this fraud immediately and pull it apart from the research. Now, there have been cases where many people have seen a certain psychic go into a laboratory, bend spoons, and he's been caught at fraud. However, to say that everyone who goes in is a fraud because they say they can bend spoons at all times, well, that's another story. Parapsychologists are aware of magical techniques right now and are working with magicians to try and find out different ways of penetrating these problems. Another misconception is that psychic phenomena, psychic abilities can be taught instantly. Now, there are a lot of psychic development courses out there and a lot of psychic development books that are on the market right now. Each of these people teaches an individual method of psychic development, and some of the things may have actual positive benefits towards trying to develop one's psychic abilities or trying to learn what it is in you at certain times that leads the psychic ability to come out.
Where do some of these misconceptions come from?
Well, they come from movies like Poltergeist, from horror films that show psychic abilities as destructive abilities. They seem to connect it a lot more with the occult, with witchcraft certainly. They come from the books and from the people who are teaching psychic development many times because they are teaching their own individual method of developing the psychic awareness, or what they interpret to be their own individual method. There's no one cohesive overview of a way to do this. Now, because of this, it's a lot cheaper to pick up a whole bunch of books and pick out the things that are common, which in many cases relate back to what we're finding out in the laboratory, than it is to go and take a course in psychic development.
When we began this project, we had hoped to find answers to some of the mysteries that have puzzled mankind for centuries. What we found, however, were lots of theories and supposition, no conclusive answers. But the research continues. This is Marvin Scott.